myself. Oh no, give me that cell. Oh, I gotta go like Cobain. 8 years to the grave, gone insane. My blood got propane. How you gon' go and throw my name with shame? Already cross-faded, making it to the disco. I hate it, and you know how this goes. You framed it, picture painted in my room. This that real life shit, not on Zoom. Got the scene in it.
Make sure you subscribe to JerCrispy.
What's up, y'all? It shows the most. There's the most. JerCrispy, what make no? I got that nigga Kyra. when the Fantastic Four was actually fantastic. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow social media gonna pop up on the screen. We're on the road to 300, and let's see that boy Kyra.
The movie starts off with Reed and Ben pulling up to Victor Von Doom's tower. He's trying to convince Victor to fund a trip to space so he can study cosmic radiation, but Reed gets stopped halfway through, gets called broke and slightly unattractive. But at that moment, Sue Storm comes in, and that's when Victor gets the idea to slime Reed out in the most vile way possible, trying to bag the love of his life in front of his very eyes. So he gives bro the job, with Reed's only stipulation being that Ben Grimm is the pilot. But Sue Storm, who's coordinating the flight, tells them they already have a lead pilot, Johnny fucking Storm, the disgraced former NASA pilot who got fired after sneaking 2 Victoria's Secret models into a flight simulator, which he somehow crashed. They all get on the ship. Reed gets Ben to put the samples on the outside of the ship, while Victor is pulling off some of the most diabolical riz I've ever seen in my life. He tells baby girl, I can show you the world, literally. Bro is trying to marry Reed's ex on a business trip, bro. Gang is a wall's length apart in the same damn ship. But just before bro can cause a villain origin story, they get interrupted by Reed telling him that the cosmic wind radiation calculations were slightly off, and they're about to get hit with enough radiation to turn the frogs gay. Victor tells bro, fuck that, I came all the way here, we're finishing the mission. But Ben is still outside of the ship, and they have just about 6 minutes left to live. They're trying to tell Ben to come back to the ship before he perishes.
Guys, I'm not gonna make it.
Bro knew for a fact he was cooked. You can hear in his voice that he made peace with his fate, bro. Back at the ship deck, Victor is already raising the shields, which will completely lock out Ben from getting saved. And Sue sees that slimy shit and is viscerally repulsed, tries to go help everyone out, and doesn't even make it close to the airlock before the radiation storm hits, so she should have just stayed where she was at. And everybody on the ship ends up getting a lethal dose of DNA altering radiation, but somehow they survive and get back to Earth. And while the Fantastic Four is recovering in the hospital, Dr. Doom is getting chewed out by his investors. So that nigga, I'm out, like he was in Shark Tank. Johnny's trying to leave the hospital early to snowboard on the resort the hospital stays in, and the nurse tries to stop him from doing so. But the entire time, bro is flirting while getting dressed and telling her he's gonna do it anyway. And this nigga, smooth as hell, slips in a whole kiss before he leaves. So Johnny is on top of that snow peak, riding down the hill with fine shit. When she looks over to see Johnny is on fire, he panics and launches 100 feet off of a cliff and accidentally activates his powers, leaving him butt-ass naked in this puddle. And the next few minutes is them individually figuring out that they've been horribly mutated. Victor touches some silverware, creating plasma arcs, and bro almost nuts on spot. He knows immediately that he has powers. Ben has a bad case of indigestion, probably from his internal organs being solidified. And when Reed tries to congratulate Sue Storm on moving on with Victor, for some reason Shawty gets angry.
I'm really happy for you and Victor.
It's been 2 years and all you can say is that you're happy for me and some other guy?
That's crazy.
He's not afraid to fight for what he wants.
That is terribly weird energy. Why would you ever have to fight for any woman? You dumped gang and now you're mad because he's being mature? She's fucking silly. But her powers being activated by emotion, it causes her to turn invisible mid-conversation. When she looks at her hand, she gets startled and knocks over a bottle. And Reed accidentally activates his foreskin ability to catch the bottle. At that very second, Johnny rushes in, still butt-ass naked. And look at how Sue Storm looks at bro. Nigga couldn't stop to go get some pants, and now the symptoms are starting to kick in for everybody heavy. Victor is losing hair faster than a chemo patient, while the cosmic DNA altering rays is digging in Ben Grimm's guts right now. So they rush over to inform Ben that his DNA is probably fucked up, but by the time they make it to his room, Ben is already busted through the wall like the Kool-Aid Man, obviously shocked from realizing he's become a Charmcaster golem. Bro goes back to Brooklyn to see his wife, and she is horrified. You can tell that she does not read those female goon books, because as soon as she sees his face, she starts sprinting in the opposite direction. Understandably, bro ends up sitting on the edge of a bridge where he catches a guy just about to jump. He tries to convince him to get down, but ends up scaring him until he falls in the middle middle of the street, and Benjamin Grimm, having his passive ability and whatnot, jumps in front of a high-speed truck and completely stops it in its tracks, causing the most unnecessary 20-car pileup ever witnessed. With all the people who probably will end up dying because of this traffic jam, you might as well just get that nigga what he wanted and let him pass away, you know? But as soon as this incident happens, the rest of the team lock in on Ben's location, but they cannot get to him simply because of the sheer amount of people.
Bro, I hate to have some powers like that, bro. I ain't even gonna hold you saying. Boy, I would have had this. I would have rather have fire or the stretchy arm power or the visible power, saying like that ass, bro. I think
In the area. So Reed's brilliant idea is to have Sue Storm go invisible and weave through the crowd without anybody noticing. But Sue does not know how invisibility works and doesn't take her clothes off. Waits until she goes invisible to take her clothes off and then turned her invisibility off. She's just setting herself up for failure. This still causes enough of a diversion for them to get through. As soon as they link up with Ben, though, a car explodes. With a little girl in the blast radius, Johnny jumps down on some action hero shit and body blocks her from the blast. Sue Storm encloses the blast with a force field, but the shockwave causes this fire truck to almost fall off the edge. Ben holds the truck in place while Reed saves one of the guys who almost fell to his death. So after saving the day from a situation that he honestly caused, they all start cheering for him. But out of nowhere, Ben Grimm's wife weaves to the front of the crowd, only to leave her ring on the ground and exit stage left.
Man, fuck that dirty ass, ugly ass hoe. Man, fuck her. Man, I'm a hero now, man. All the girls on me now. I don't need you. Shoot. Yay. You know,
paparazzi start swarming them, and they've already developed a working title for this team. Sue tries to keep everybody hidden in one place so the media doesn't find them, but Johnny says fuck that and goes to cheese up for the reporters. Everybody ends up following Johnny out, and when they step in front of the cameras, the fire department chief asks who's the leader of this entire operation. Johnny tries to step up to the plate, but even this nigga knows that's a blatant lie. They get into an argument trying to explain themselves on national television, and this shit is absolutely horrendous for Victor's stock portfolio. Due to all this publicity about the incident and how his company wasted billions of dollars on a failed space mission, all the investors that Victor had back out. And at this very moment, you can see that they unleashed a Omega level crash out upon the world. Reed takes the entire team to his apartment/lab to quarantine them while he figures out how to unfuck their DNA. And Victor pulls up on her out of nowhere, says that he has a private condo for her to stay at, and the world's finest doctors. When Reed catches them talking, and bro has to play it off like he wasn't trying to take his bitch to a B&B. Shuddy chooses Reed over Victor, cause Gang is clearly a demon in disguise, and on his way out he has to have this squabble with Reed, but he immediately pussies out as soon as Ben shows up, all bricked up and whatnot in the background. So Victor has lost his money, his fame, his hoes. With all of this devastating news,
crazy,
he goes
bro.
to see his doctor about his...
Imagine losing your hoe, your money, your fame, which is a bum ass nigga and all that shit. Damn. Can that be me? I hope it never be me.
Recent symptoms. And it turns out an entire metal shell under his skin is forming. Harder than adamantium, but outrageously conductive for some reason. Doc tells bro he's never seen some shit like this before, and is this close from calling the CDC and reporting this nigga for a potentially contagious virus, before Victor simply grabs him up. He didn't even really try to convince bro not to do it, and breaks his neck with a wall on the other side of the room. Now you remember that investor from earlier? Victor pulls up on this nigga in a dark, dingy parking lot.
Hold up. Mr. Fantastic is the stretchy dude. Wait a minute. Multiverse got it fucked up. Then hold up. We gonna show it after this.
No other reason than sheer pettiness. He is in full crash out with his kill count already at 2 within the first, couple days of knowing he has powers. Meanwhile, Johnny sneaks out of the apartment to go to the X Games. Also, on his way there, some nigga challenges him to a race. He tries to skirt off as soon as the light turns green, only to realize that his tires are completely fucking melted. This was my introduction to Fantastic Four. Yet, for some reason, my entire life, I did not think this nigga was pyrokinetic. So bro gets in full cosplay and prepares to do a life-threatening stunt with 0 training. And the shit is going flawlessly until it looks like it's going to be a live leak video. But at the last second, Johnny's powers kick in and he starts flying and lands perfectly in view of the camera just for the hose. The entire team sees him from back at the apartment because he's on TV. While running his mouth on live television, he's going through the Fantastic Four, giving them names, when he calls Ben Grimm the Thing. God damn, bro is horribly disfigured, lost his wife. I don't even know if
I would have called that nigga the Rock nigga, or the Rocky, the Rock man. The thing is that's kind of gay. Okay, kind of gay.
Bro can beat his meat like this. So when Ben pulls up on his location, Johnny comes out to see that his car has been compressed into a ball. And that shit is on sight. Ben starts pressing Johnny, but he decides to be the bigger person and walk away. But the Rage Bait champion strikes once again, puts some heat on the back of his neck. So bro turns around and throws a haymaker directly through Reed's chest. Sue Storm uses a force field to break up the argument, and they walk off in the opposite directions. Meanwhile...
Okay, yeah, everything right then. Who was girl? Wait. That was the same girl who got visible power. So she had visible powers and a force. She got the 2-for-1. That's not even fair.
Victor is on an absolute murder spree in his own company to get what looks like a heat-seeking missile. Why would you need that? Why is this nigga killing everybody in the building with his name on it? Bro takes the missiles back to his lair, where he has a number of creep cams in Reed's apartment. Bro want to see how stretchy it gets. And during this scene, we see the iconic Doom mask, and it says it was given to him for humanitarian efforts in Latveria. The only thing that I didn't like about this version was how Doom had no affiliation with Latveria outside of a couple mentions. Outside of his own narcissism, that's his only reason for really doing shit. So takes on Dr. Doom usually end up going the either or route, when both is the only correct answer. Either way, Victor starts his sinister plan to try to destroy the Fantastic Four. So he goes for Ben Grimm first so he can't cock block any conflict with Reed. He convinces Ben that Reed already has the cure and that he's just stalling for time because he enjoys his new power. And Gang falls for it. Hook, line, and sinker. Gang got hit with the oldest manipulation tactic in the book. So now he gets Ben Grimm to go confront Reed about a cure, causing a fight within the team without having to lay a hand on anyone. Vic is playing fucking chess right now. So when Reed uses himself as a guinea pig for the cure, it's absolute checkmate. And I'm really gonna need to break this down. Right after Reed liquefies himself, he brings Ben to the machine and actually cures him this time. You remember those cameras that he put in his apartment? He purposely sabotaged the first attempt that Reed tried to use the machine and then used his formula to actually cure Ben. That is fucking diabolical. He cures Ben Grimm just to slime him out seconds later. Reed walks in on his violation and Victor hits him with a science lesson after he gets a bolt of lightning to the chest and falls out a window. Because of the failed cure attempt, he's like way more elastic than usual, so this nigga's just dripping down the side of a building. In fact, he takes so much time to fall that Victor catches an elevator and meets him at the bottom. When he gets to the first floor, the butler at the door acts as if he's okay. Bro addresses him by name and says he's never been better, then proceeds to fold him through a door. Bro is just a civilian. What did he do? So Victor starts clowning Reed and the fact that he's dripping down the side of a building, realizes he's in the downtown New York area, shiesty-less, and decides to mask up. This all happening while Sue Storm is finding Ben laid out. This nigga was taking a light nap, and because Reed has been kidnapped by Dr. Doom, Ben feels the need to get back in the machine and uncure himself, which is fucking retarded. You got like two other niggas with godlike abilities. Johnny could go supernova. Either way, while they're making this fucking decision, Dr. Doom gives Mr. Fantastic another science lesson. What happens to rubber when introduced to extremely low temperature? And while he thinks about that question, he launches a heat-seeking missile into his fucking apartment with everybody he knows and loves inside that he set on fire. No idea why he couldn't just shoot flames or something and then turn off his powers. So Sue Storm comes to save Reed Richards, and she tries to negotiate till she ends the conversation with a force field blast. Bro eats that shit like brunch and sends back Zeus's wrath. She goes invisible to avoid the hand-to-hand combat that he put her through, but Dr. Doom can smell fine shit from a mile away. Unlocked his Sharingan at the last minute and choked this bitch up. And right after Sue Storm gets thrown across the room for the second time, Ben jumps through the wall like he was waiting for her to get slapped one more time. Utters his iconic catchphrase and then hits a home run when Victor's in his body. And while everybody's reuniting trying to get Reed off of death's doorstep, Victor rushes at the thing, negates that nigga's passive, and tackles him out of the window of a skyscraper into a pool that slides down a ramp leading to a garbage truck where they had this Looney Tunes ass scrap where they leave dents in the side of the fucking truck. And somehow Victor still comes out on top. Like, how is Ben losing a hand to hand? That's his only job.
Right.
Y'all put up with me, I would've seen y'all niggas outside.
Ben gets up and throws a whole car at this nigga, followed by a goddamn bus, only for him to walk out the side. He's beating Ben in strength and durability when and
fucking combat strategy like a motherfucker. This nigga Doom is not a fucking nigga. He said, nigga, I'm not the one.
He rushes at Victor, picks up this sign pole and bats him away. So with Ben Grimm at his complete mercy, he goes in for the full execution. Reed interrupts him, tells bro to wait his fucking turn, goes back to what he was doing, but gets cock blocked by a Sue Storm force field. He tries to go put his hands on Reed and Sue, but gets hit by a bolt of fire out of nowhere. And now the entire Fantastic Force here stands up against Vic Von Doom himself, and he starts hitting these niggas with plasma arcs immediately. But Reed uses his rubber-like body to wrap him up in a sheet, giving Johnny enough time to trap him inside of a fire tornado. Sue tries to contain the supernova levels of heat so he doesn't ignite the atmosphere and kill everything on Earth. And because this nigga is almost made completely of metal, his mask literally forges onto his skin. But Reed hits that nigga with elite ball knowledge. What happens when you cool superheated metal and hardens this nigga solid in place? And just like that, the day is saved, and the world's greatest heroes, the Fantastic Four, are born. So is it a good movie? Yes. Am I biased?
Yeah, I ain't lying to you. That's the best Fantastic Four. Now, I heard they coming up with a new one, so we gotta watch out. So, what I was about to show y'all what Marvel Rivals shows, so I mean, it show everything what it does. So, I mean, okay, that I had got confused for a split second, but see y'all when I see y'all. Lay y'all to the bottom of my heart. Now out.